Now our next guest is a singer, TV presenter and, let's face it, a national treasure. It was her Eurovision success with the song Why Me that marked her meteoric rise to fame.
It's Linda Martin, of course, who is also, and I'm sure you know him by now, a passionate and long-standing animal rights activist, and she's here to talk to us today about spearheading a new hard-hitting anti-fur celebrity campaign urging people across the nation to forgo the use of real fur and calling on the government to ban fur farming in Ireland. Good morning. Happy New Year, by the way.
And the same to you.
And who's this
too.
You have with you?
Oh, this is Chilly Willy.
Chilly Willy?
This is my fairy god dog from the panto.
I know I shouldn't ask, but why is he called that?
I'm not going to tell you.
You shouldn't ask, Mark.
I shouldn't ask.
Use your imagination.
Sometimes it's very obvious, but not this morning.
Well, okay, I thought there might have been some exotic story.
No.
It's the obvious.
He's nice and calm this morning.
No, actually, Chihuahua, Chilly.
Oh, very good.
And then there's another little thing
right,
that he does, and Willy sort of was added on to the end of it.
19
Correct.
dogs.
Correct.
Where do you keep all of your 19 dogs?
Well, put it this way.
vast country estate.
I don't know about vast, but I live in the country, so I've a bit of space for them. And some of them have been there like for years and years and years. They've all come in as rescues.
Yeah.
And for one reason and another, a lot of them haven't been able to be rehomed because of the trauma they've gone through and because of various ailments that they suffer from.
But you don't want to let them go.
But I don't have carpets or rugs or anything like that. And you know, furniture
Do they all
ads...
live in the house?
Oh yeah, they're in the house. I
All
live in a
19
very
of
old
them?
house. Yeah.
Wow.
And they have different places that they all go to sleep in their little beds and things. But I dream of having white furniture. You know, when I see the ads on telly and I say, oh my goodness, that's gorgeous. And then I think, no, that'll never happen in this house.
That will never come to pass with 19
No.
doggies.
Well, we have one dog and two cats.
Yeah,
and
that's
cats are
good.
reasonably low maintenance, but the mess that comes with them, just by definition, so how you cope with 19 or 20 is beyond.
No. You see, I don't regard that as mess. And I'm not particularly house proud either. You know, I mean, you have to live in a house and the dogs just live, and sometimes there's hair on the floor. In fact, a lot of times there's hair on the floor, but I mean, you just hoover it up.
There's hair on everything.
Yeah, but goes with the territory.
But I
don't care.
I have a separate wardrobe for suits for here and all the rest of it, and I find cat hairs on it. Now it's...
Oh, I believe
5
that, all
feet
right.
above it.
I
How
believe
the hell
that.
it gets on it is beyond me. Drives me
Well,
mad.
it floats. It does actually float, but I come in at night when I'm dressed up and I run upstairs quickly and get the clothes off before the dogs have a chance to either jump on me or catch the hairs on them or anything. Like, so it's...
Does it not drive you mad? Obviously
No,
not.
it doesn't drive me mad.
She loves animals, which is why you're here, because
Yes.
your love of animals has led you to really campaign for something that I think a lot of people would be surprised to know goes on in Ireland. Fur farming.
I think they would. Well,
Yeah.
well, let me tell you how it started. I received 2 photographs by email, and the first one was of Simon Cowell holding a dog. The second was Charlize Theron. She's holding a dog, and they were saying, would you wear your dog? Therefore, if you wouldn't, then don't wear fur. So on the back of that, I was contacted by ARAN, who do an awful lot of animal campaigns here in Ireland, and they said, look, Simon's doing it his territory, Charlize Theron's her territory, would you spearhead it in Ireland? And I was glad to, because I am anti-fur. I don't agree with wearing fur, especially when there's so many fabulous faux fur fabrics around at the moment. And then I did a little bit of investigation just to find out what was behind it and why I could say and advise people, don't wear fur. So, to cut a long story short...
The idea that you would wear your dog, I mean, people think, okay, well, you know, mink or that kind of fur, but where's the connection between dogs and
well,
wearing fur?
we do have the mink farms here and some fox farms as well in Ireland.
Okay.
The dog thing comes from China. And I've seen the videos, and for people at home who are slightly sensitive with regards appalling facts, the dogs are skinned alive.
What?
The dogs are skinned alive. I've seen it, and flung onto a rubbish heap where they die of shock, obviously, and the pelts are then used for decorating handbags, decorating earrings, decorating fur collars on coats and things like that. So that's one aspect of it. Now, we don't do that here in Ireland with our dogs, but it does happen in other countries.
What do we do in Ireland? What fur farming does exist in Ireland? Because I actually thought we were free of fur farming until we did this.
No, we're not. We have about 5 fur farms, and within those there's approximately 150,000 mink. There are some foxes as well.
Now, they, I'm assuming, would claim that they treat their animals humanely.
Now, you see...
You have an issue with the term humane.
You can't, because when you're dealing with animals on such a vast scale, how can you possibly euthanize each one with a registered vet? You can't do it. I mean, it's in practical terms, it's just impossible. So they're either gassed, or in some cases, and this is true as well, I'm not quite sure, I don't have proof that it does actually happen in Ireland, but I do have proof that in some cases the mink are electrocuted by putting an electrode within their anal cavity. Okay. And that shows that the fur isn't damaged. You see, so people think, oh, we've little minks and they live in cages and things like that. We don't even employ a lot of people within the fur farming industry here in Ireland. It's not as if it's bringing lots and lots of money into the economy. It's not. And most of the fur is sent outside Ireland. It goes to places like Denmark and Russia and all sorts of... So
we know from Pete Weatherburn that we have a pretty shameful record where puppy farming is concerned.
Definitely, yeah.
Correct.
We also know from him that the legislation is not all that it should be. Now, I'm assuming that the fur farming legislation and the puppy farming legislation is the same piece of statute. Is it? Do you know? And how strictly enforced is it, or is it strictly at all?
It's not enforced at all. There are
why is that? Is it because the legislation isn't strict enough, or there isn't enough manpower to enforce it?
We don't. It's a little bit of both, in actual fact, but we just don't enforce the standards. And you know, instead of people, I mean, people do breed dogs, and there are some very, very good breeders around. But it's when it gets into, say, 300 breeding bitches, and they're living in their own feces and all of that sort of thing.
Well, that's factory farming.
I mean, it's barbaric. It really is. So you know that is just one aspect of it, but this particular thing, this anti-fur thing, all I'm saying to people is really that you don't have to be a mad animal lover. You just have to think, is that right or wrong? You know, and they'll say, okay, but we kill cattle. Of course we do, but we eat the meat. If you enjoy meat, then that's part and parcel of it. With the fur farming and the mink and the foxes, well, the bodies are just dumped. So this
is purely for decoration and ornamentation. It's not for survival or to feed people.
That is all it is, you know. And I think these days, just with the faux fur fabrics, which are so beautiful, there's no need for it. And might I also add a little point that do not release the mink. Don't break into these farms and release them, because mink are vicious little buggers, to be quite honest with you. And releasing all of them into our natural habitat
will be catastrophic for the local habitat.
It's a recipe for destruction. You know, our habitat just couldn't cope with them, but it does happen.
Linda, how can people support you in your campaign? Well, how do they sign up? What can they do?
Well, you can look at ARAN.ie, which is very easy, and you'll see everything that they do. And I have to add also, they're peaceful. They do not aggravate people. They're not in people's faces. They're a very peaceful organisation who just try to help animals. They've helped with the Canadian seal cull. They've helped with neutering and spaying and all sorts of things. You know, and I'm happy to be involved with them because of the way they act, the way they deal with people. And you know, I just want people to think of your conscience. You don't want cruelty. There's no need to decorate your handbag or anything else with a piece of real fur. Just think about it. I could put a little bit of plastic fur on it and it would just be exactly the same, but there wouldn't be any cruelty involved in it. So just give us a bit of support. Just think right and wrong. Don't just base yourself on being an animal lover.
Well said, Linda. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Really lovely to meet you.